Hello and welcome to another Coding Geeks. I'm Gizmo and this is
X.
and we are both users from retail. And today we are going to talk about URLs. It's the stuff you type in the browser. This is an URL. GitHub.com Gizmo GWF3. This is an URL, also called Uniform Resource Locator. Well, let's look at the draft. You see the link to mp3:gizmo at google.de :443 / q gizmo and x #amir. This is an URL, and we will first discuss the parts of an URL. So an URL consists of pretty much parts. You start with the protocol, maybe highlighted in the link. It's tricky, yeah? This is a protocol. Then in this example, we have mp3:gizmo at. And the mp3:gizmo is a basic authentication. You see, if in an URL something comes before the at, if there's an at in the host, maybe. You see the host is google.de.
Yes.
And the mp3:gizmo is basic authentication. Then after the basic authentication is maybe write basic out. I'm not even sure it's basic out, but it's pretty much the same. So then we have a host. Then when after the host comes a colon, then you have the port. Yeah. And then you can do an enter after the 3. And another enter after the slash, another one. Yes. And then do an enter after the X. The #amir is also different. Yes. So then we have an authentication. It's not really used in today. It's old stuff. You don't want to authenticate via this method because then the username and password is occurring in the logs. Maybe it's insecure. Today, if you want to authenticate, you usually send a username password via a formula, and then you get a cookie, and with this cookie you get recognized. The basic out stuff is not really wanted. You understand?
Yes.
Okay, so google.de is the host, 443 is a port, and what is the slash?
It will be like a separator or something?
No, the slash is a path.
Okay.
You can put after the slash, put search. .php maybe. No, this is a path on the host. It's search PHP is a file on the HTTP host. Yes, and do you know how the question mark stuff is called?
No. Keywords?
Query. It's called a query.
What?
And those are parameters, maybe query parameters. And in this case, in PHP, you will get this in the $_ get variable. Maybe write it behind query parameters. PHP is $.
Question mark or dollar?
No. Delete PHP. $_ get, but all uppercase get. And if you request a PHP resource over HTTP, the PHP will store the query parameters in the get variable. And the get variable would be q equals gizmo and x equals false.
So that's a standard variable in PHP.
This is PHP, yes. And in all other programming languages, it's alike.
Okay.
You know, the query parameters you will get in the get variables.
Okay.
Okay. And the last thing we have here is hash army. Do you know what this is?
It's pretty much for the HTML, like to anchor or something.
Yeah, it's for anchors, right? And interesting is that everything after the hash is never sent to the server. The hash part is only client side.
Okay.
Maybe write instead of anchor, write client side hash. Maybe. So if you, for example, if you do an encryption app or application, if you do an encryption application, you can set the client a link with a hash with his password, and he clicks the link and the password is not sent but used by the application. So the hash is never sent to the server, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so let's look at the draft again. Protocol, host, port, path, out, query, hash, all encodes. So let's start with let's continue with all encode. Open your notepad again and create a new link. Let's maybe google.de, google.egypt.com. Yeah, perfect. Slash question mark, question mark, q equals foobar. And ampersand link equals fine. And now you would have in your get parameters, you would have two variables, one time q with a value of foobar and link, the key link with a value of file.
Okay.
So, but now I want you to make q equals foo and bar. You know, foo and bar with the ampersand. Please, after the foo, do an ampersand. Now, what do we have now? We have a variable q with a value foo. Then we have bar with a value of false or null. And then we have link with a value of file.
Mm-hmm.
But I want q to be foo and bar. I want the ampersand be part of q. You understand the problem?
One more time, please.
Okay, I want the variable q shall be foo and bar. I don't want two variables. I don't want q and bar. I want q equals foo and bar. Better now?
Okay. So now bar is handled as a parameter.
Extra variable, yes, exactly. And this is because we need to all encode the ampersand. We need to all encode this one, yes. We need to all encode this. And you already know how this works, right?
You explained it before.
Yes, then please explain it.
So we will URL encode it. Instead of using and, we will URL encode it maybe in...
correct.
ASCII or hex or ASCII, I believe, was it ASCII?
Yes,
Or hex?
of course, ASCII. Yes, and how do you all encode an ASCII value, an arbitrary ASCII value with the?
What did you say? Sorry.
How do you do it?
With percentage, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And
So you
then
do an ampersand and then the hex value of the ampersand.
I will go for 26. I'm not sure, but I'll give it a try. Mm-hmm.
And now maybe open this link in browser. Yeah. And now we all encoded the ampersand. And all encoding is needed because there are special characters like question mark, ampersand, maybe an equal sign, a slash, etc. You all encode this. Okay, let's look at the draft again. Okay, so if you open an URL in your browser, it does a GET request.
Okay.
You know, if you maybe type enter in the address bar again, bam. Maybe do F12, network, and F5 again. Scroll to the top. The second request. What is the first request? Please click the first. What is this? Where is this coming from? This is totally mysterious. Again, okay. No idea. This is hackery. But the request we are wanting is the question mark Q equals foo. Yes. Look at the headers. And this is the HTTP headers, and you see the request URL, scroll top. And request method is a GET. If you put an URL in your browser, you never can get a post. It's always GET. And this is also interesting or notable if you do an application where you do changes in your request, if you create a new entry or do a like or something like this, it should always be over post, only post, because this way you cannot get tricked into clicking an URL that does malicious stuff. So important stuff should always be only post. Okay, then FTP was file dropped. Scroll a bit up. Click on protocol.
It's mail to.
Okay, the mail to coding. Okay, wrong. Yeah, this is mail to is also kind of protocol, or FTP, yes. And FTP protocol was removed from Chrome because nobody uses it. So they just removed the support for this protocol. Do you know other interesting protocols?
File.
File is very funny. This is a file protocol. You can access the server's file system over the file protocol. And this indeed can be a security bug. Let's talk about max length. An URL is usually restricted with its length by the underlying web server like IIS or Apache or Nginx. They all have different max length for the URLs, and you can say maybe 2 kilobytes, 2,000 bytes. It should not be longer, or maybe 1,000 byte. URLs should be short. Some of them should be memorable. Okay, then let's click on rants. What did I rant? Yeah, what I'm ranting is, why do they use two different characters for the query part? You start the query part with a question mark, and all other variables are split by the ampersand. This, I don't know why they did this, because if you just used question mark or just use ampersand, it would be easier to handle in the code because you don't have to watch, oh, do I have already an get parameter? Do I need a question mark? Do I need an ampersand? You know, this complicates URLs a lot because they chose two different separators. Makes no sense. Okay, and the last stuff is UTF-8 and lookalikes. maybe open a browser tab. Google for UTF-8 bird icon. UTF-8 bird. I love this bird. There it is. Yeah. And now put in your URL http colon double slash. Now the bird.com. And hit enter. I don't know what happens. Let's try it out. You see, this is exactly what I wanted. Now it converted your URL because URLs are not UTF-8, they are ASCII.
Mm-hmm.
And now it converted your URL to some crazy Unicode style stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is like Unicode encoded UTF-8 in ASCII. This is bird.com. This is bird.com. I don't know the encoding very well because URLs are ASCII, so we use ASCII, but some Germans complained we need Umlaute, hier ÜRÖ, so they invented Unicode stuff. Any questions?
No, it's clear so far.
Okay, so I think this was take 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like, explore this document, click a few links, visit us on Rachel, and thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much, X, for inspiration and motivation.